Oh, g'day everyone, the Global Surveyor. It's the end of the week, a Friday, and just look where I am, underneath this power line. I've just left my car there, walked through the Transgrid power line easement gate there. You can see this transmission tower here. It drops off down into a gully, quite steep. And today I'm undertaking a subdivision. It's actually a boundary adjustment, and I've got to go find some survey marks which define the rear of this boundary. So that's what I'm up to, and you can probably see here there's quite a bit of rock, which is really good for placing survey marks. Oh gee, there's a bit of glass here. Oh, what have I found? Oh, what a bonus. A 1-cent coin. We don't have those anymore in Australia. I can't even really read the date. I'll stay tuned. When I get a chance, I'll read the date and let you know. But you never know what you find when you're out here. But for the first thing I've got to do is stake out a rock mark, which will probably be over here somewhere, and it's according to my calculations about 25 meters away. And when you see 25 meters and you see it dropping over the edge there, it doesn't sound all that exciting. But stay tuned, and make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a heap of videos about surveying, all different types, finding old survey marks, tips and tricks, how to use the surveying equipment here. I've got the Leica GS18, and I've also got just really other interesting things about surveying. Trying to, the purpose of the channel really is to sell surveying and sell the adventure of surveying, as you can see here. So I'm going to go look for some survey marks. Stay tuned. Like every single job I do, it is adventurous and sometimes downright bloody dangerous. Hanging on for dear life here. There's a cliff here, and I think this survey mark will be close to the cliff. I've got to get, it'll be somewhere here, but I can't actually have a look at my controller just yet, because as you'll see, I've got to take it easy. Whoa, I don't want to fall off the cliff. Okay. Well, that's encouraging. It's only 800, as in 0.8 of a metre, somewhere here. 700, just underneath this log here. I wonder if I can break this off. You see how if you're standing on the edge of a cliff and you want to hold on to something, you want to make sure that it's not going to break. I've got these boundary marks coordinated, and that's why I'm able to stake out this mark. You can see I've got a bipod here too, because I don't really want to be standing here if I don't have to. 50 mils and 200. It's about there. We'll give it a look. Having the bipod is handy too, because you can just place the GPS down or pole down. In this instance, I'm just going to lean it up against the scrub here, which should be reasonably safe. There's some vines there. I'm going to have a look, see what we can find. And again, we don't want to fall off that cliff. So it's in this vicinity somewhere. What have we got here? Look, I can see the remains of a wing. Now this is an old rock mark. I believe it might even have a broad arrow, according to it does. Holy cow! Yes, look, we'll start off here. This is fantastic. This is a really old mark from the 1800s. So we've got the wing here, the wing here. Now straight away we can tell this one's got a circular hole, not a square one. But check out the broad arrow. How awesome's that? I'll give it a coat of paint. Okay, gonna give it a coat of paint. Oh, don't drop your phone. Be in big trouble if we drop our phones, especially off the cliff. Okay, we're going to give this drill hole a coat of paint. There's the wing. I'm sure the surveyor that put this in the 1800s won't mind a bit of yellow paint. Will help the next surveyor find it. Although this block of land here, it's not likely to be ever subdivided further. And I'm just doing a boundary adjustment, so the chances of anyone actually using this mark again is it's not likely. Okay, so staking it out, it's saying I've got to go 50 mils and 40 mils, but that's not too bad considering that I just had a very, not rough, but I was using marks way down the other end of the property, so I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to now I'm going to get out of stakeout mode and go into measure mode here. I'm going to measure these marks. I'm actually going to do quite a few measurements, and I'll mean up all of them at a later time. I'm just going to put a code in here, rock mark, and BA for broad arrow. But how cool is that, hey? What a place. And the reason why, you can see that the line of this, move some of these leaves, you can see that the line of this the wings are heading way down the cliff there. So the cliffs, the boundary is actually heading down the bottom of those cliffs, and this would have been the place. This is just a line mark, so when the surveyor came through, he had to find a place where he could set up and see down into no man's land down there. So what a place to go. I'll give this a reading now. I've got it set to accuracy mode. It takes about 50 readings at 0.2 of a second, so it's pretty fast and pretty bloody accurate.
Point stored. Point stored. Point stored. Point stored. Point stored.
Yeah, so that's exciting. So the next point now we're going to look for is a reference mark, a drill hole and wing in rock. I'm hoping that it's going to be on the high side of the cliff and not down there. You'll see in a previous video that I think it's titled Surveying at the Bottom of the Cliff or something like that. It was late last year. I was at the other end of this line, so if you haven't seen that video, make sure you check it out. I don't know how well you can see here, but you can see this tree's broken off. We had some really strong winds just after Christmas time here in Australia, and a lot of trees got smashed, so amazing force of nature there. Okay, off to the next mark. I'm getting close to the cliff again. Still got 30 meters to go. Oh dear. Hoping this survey mark is on the top of the cliff and not at the bottom. Got to be careful. Oh, I suppose it's not too bad here. Not too bad. Gee. It's saying 25 meters. I don't like the look of this. It's not easy to walk around places like this. Not easy at all. 23 meters. Not easy. I might just go over here and have a look. Let's see, it's quite possible that the only way down is down through here, down through this gully. And I really need this mark. It seemed like the last time I had to do this on the other side of the property, I had to squeeze down through this gap, or a gap like this. Go over here and see what this GPS is telling me. Again, 20 meters. Oh dear. It's down the bottom. It's down there. I think I've got no choice but to go down there. Look at this cliff. Holy cow. Okay. Let's see. I just went over to the edge there, see if I could find a way down. And getting down there doesn't look all that promising at this stage. I'm not taking any risks.
RTK initialization lost. RTK initialized.
No risks at all.
RTK initialization lost. RTK initialized.
Got to be really careful. And you've got to remember when you go down how to get back up again. Have a look. Yeah, I think in the interest of safety, I didn't really want to go down this gap here, although that would be the fastest way down there. I think in the interest of my safety, I'm going to come in from the other end, and I'll have to just track back here instead. And hopefully I can stick at the bottom of the cliffs and find this mark, because yeah, it's just simply too dangerous. And sometimes you've just got to make that call. It's going to take a little bit extra time. But I found that old rock mark, and really if there's a level of hierarchy of evidence or whatever, that mark takes precedence over this reference mark that was placed in a rock here. Still a bit baffled on how the surveyor got down here to put that mark in. It's quite possible that he went down through this gap here, but I've looked again, and I'm just a bit wary. There's a jolly great big tree root jammed in there with a lot of these she oak needles on top, and I don't want to take the risk, so I'm going to head back to the car and go out and find a few marks out on the road and come back in here and get it later. Oh, a lot of walking in this job. You can see walking through the these thistles here. And weed. Oh, there's the car. Thank goodness I'm back. So, just driven back out to the road. We've got this, just opposite this fence post here, you can see some yellow dots, and that's referring to a permanent survey mark here under this plate. And it's actually instead of being a steel pin, it's actually a star picket in this instance. I don't know how well you can see that there where my fingers are. Star picket. So we just adopt, there's a little, it's hard to feel, but there's a tiny little punch mark in the top of that star picket. So we're going to measure to that. And we've got a reference mark here, a concrete block, a galvanised iron pipe buried under the ground there about 1 metre from the corner. So I'm going to give them a measure now. So in this instance, even though my GPS does have tilt compensation, I've decided to turn the tilt off and just use a bipod. That sort of can get the marks a little bit more accurate. I find that when measuring with the tilt compensation, the residuals, it's a bit hard to see here, but we've got a 2D horizontal residual of 6 mils and the 1D of 10 mils. And I find that the residuals are a lot smaller with the tilt compensation turned off. So if you are using tilt and you're finding that the residuals are 20 or 30 mils, if you're used to the old way where we didn't have tilt compensation, the thing to do is to turn the tilt off, and you'll find that those residuals will be a lot smaller.
Point stored.
And another thing I was going to mention was, if you are using GPS to measure some survey marks, remembering that the constellations, the satellites, are recording the position based on where they are now. Now in 20 minutes time, that set of satellites up in the sky would have moved on and a new set would have come in. So this is the second time that I've come back here. I was here about probably more than 20 minutes ago, probably a good half an hour ago. So by doing multiple readings at a certain time and then coming back 20 minutes, half an hour later and doing it again, you can then mean up all of the results. And by meaning them up, then you should be able to come back on any other day and land smack bang right in the middle. I guess it's another way of the word describing it is it's being or having repeatability, so that you can keep coming back to the same mark and definitely land on it because you've measured it several times. Okay, so we've got a galvanised iron pipe here buried under the bushes. I've found this one before. You can see I've tied a bit of pink ribbon here, but I've got to uncover it again. And I have to re-measure this one. Sometimes you dig and there it is. I can just feel it. Sometimes you put the spade in and you can just feel a bit of resistance. You can see how the spade, I'm got to be careful, but I don't know how well with all the light here. It's probably a bit dark, but just here where my finger is, I've got a galvanised iron pipe looking pretty good. Now we're here inside the bushes with excellent sky coverage there. A bit bright, maybe, depending on how well you can see that, but we do have excellent sky coverage. 25 satellites, GPS working really, really well inside this thick hedge. So some of you may be asking, you're just using GPS for the entire subdivision. Well, that's technically not true. What I'm actually doing here is finding all the survey marks I can and measuring them with the GPS. Some of the ones right down the very back where it's not practical to traverse within the time frame, I'll be using a bit of combination of static GPS, and the nearest state survey marks are a couple of kilometres over the hill, so that's not possible to be traversing traditionally with a total station. So I'll be doing and using some RTK GNSS observations to tie those state survey marks into the subdivision. Oh. Well, I had a look for a survey reference mark down the road there and I couldn't find it, which is a total bummer. I'd looked 3 times. I thought third time lucky, but no luck. Look at this nice quiet street, eh? And so I there was a head wall, a concrete head wall down there. I've just placed a drill hole and wing in that, reference to the corner that I couldn't find. I've dug and dug and dug, and it looks like there's been some serious sort of, maybe some earthworks here, and it's filled a bit here. And anyway, I've got to go in here now, but I'm thinking of putting a drill hole and wing in this rock. I don't think it's a floater, so I'll have a look at that in a moment. But I've got my trusty brush hook here, and this is an old hand-me-down brush hook from my old boss. You can see it's been welded a few times here, but it's sharp. And the idea of the brush hook, it's kind of like a Grim Reaper sort of thing, is that you hack your way through the bush, and it makes it a lot easier to get past. Normally you'd have an assistant doing this, and this privet, which is what I'm cutting into now, is not the easiest spot. That doesn't really matter how sharp this is. It's just not the easiest sort of stuff to cut. I want to be able to see the peg that I'm going to place with the GPS initially from the road, so when I traverse up here with the total station, I can connect to it and just adjust it if I've got to. Things you got to do, eh? Well, you could be stuck in an office, or you're out here. And this privet is really tough. I remember when I was about 19, when I first started surveying, and my boss asked me to cut through things like this, and I go, oh no. And it was actually with this very brush hook. So I've been doing that since about 1994. It's a long time ago. Whew. Well, I don't really miss cutting through the bush with a brush hook, but sometimes you've got to. And there's going to be a peg somewhere here where I've got my bag to try and clear a space. Maybe get rid of this. Just got to be careful of not getting this tangled up with a fence. Maybe cut from the inside. I noticed there was some sort of rose bush here, or blackberries or something. I think blackberries. But if you're going to put pegs in, you can actually see this line of star pickets, and out there is my corner. So one of the corners, the new corner on the road here is going to be somewhere in this vicinity, so I've got to get it cleaned up. So you can see here I've placed the new peg. I'll tie some ribbon on the fence, and I'll have to measure an offset from the peg to the fence. It's only about 100 mils, 10 centimeters approximately. I'll tie some ribbon. That's a post and wire and netting fence, and I'll read this with the GPS, and then I'll figure out where I'm going to put a traverse station out here, which I'll read it again with a total station. And then after I've read, what I've done here is instead of putting a nail for the time being, I've just placed a black texture mark, and once I've read that, I'll come back and adjust it, and if I have to, place a nail in the peg.
Point stored.
So you might be able to see a sort of a line of rocks here, or a line of sort of bedrock, sort of almost where they've maybe excavated out of the road, and it sort of continues along here. And I've placed a reference mark here, drill hole and wings in this rock. It should be pretty stable. It's I don't know, 8 meters or something to the corner. The maximum distance you can have a mark is 30 meters, I believe, in the regs. So it's not exceeding that in any way, and I'll be able to easily access that with the total station at a later time. Well, I've come down to the end of the road, and you can see I'm under the power line. It's just about lunchtime now. I've been here a few hours, and there's supposed to be a survey mark here. It's referenced right underneath the power line. You can see I'm right underneath the power line, and it's supposed to be in rock. There's rock over there, and there's little patches of it there, and there's some patch there and some over there, but I'm a little bit worried. But I think the mark is here. I've just staked it out, and I can hear rock, which is always encouraging. I've just got to dig a big enough hole to be able to find this mark, and I'm actually really relying on it, to be honest, because it's what helps fix this side boundary of mine, and I'll be using that to make any adjustments to the marks that I've put in already. But you can see here's some rock, and there's something there. Might have to, there's some little depression there. See if I can make this hole bigger. Oh gee, that's encouraging sound when you dig down. And good digging, actually. And you can hear that rock. But no mark yet. Might need to get a something to scratch around. See if I can find it. What have I got in here? I've got a trusty little chisel, and actually it's probably always a good idea had a few things out today to have a little broom. I can't see it, not to worry. Always good to have a little broom or something like that. What I'll something. Definitely rock there. Now this mark, and there's definitely dogs as well. This mark was placed a long time ago. So what I'll do, I'll have a good look and we'll get back to you. Well, this is a little bit disappointing. I dug quite a big hole and I've hit rock, and it was supposed to be a drill hole and wing here, and it was placed a very long time ago. And there's lots of little weathered bits of rock here. It's solid rock, and I've had a really good scratch with a little screwdriver here, flat-headed screwdriver. My calculations say here, the only thing I've found which remotely looks like a wing is some little deviation here, and it's very strange because it's longish, but it's kind of pointing in this direction, and there's a bit of a deviation here. There. Now I'm looking here, and I can't see anything that remotely looks like a drill hole and wing. There's some little bit of a deviation there, but that's a bit disappointing. I've measured this, and the wing is facing the complete opposite direction, and I'll just have to maybe forget about it. I was kind of hoping I could use that as a good mark, as a reference mark to my corner. We've got a GI pipe down the very bottom there, but I tend to think that I should place a drill hole and wing on the edge of a cliff there, because there's just not, here's a little bit too far. This is just underneath the power line. Down there's a little bit closer to the within the minimum distance that you can have a reference mark, and it'll be a little bit more accessible from here. So I think I'll do that instead. But yeah, what a bummer, eh? Whew. And I was so confident there was rock there. I thought for sure I'd find that mark, but no luck. I did get my broom and I've swept, and I'll go back when I go back to the office. I'll have another look to see if I can find something. But if there was a drill hole and wing here, it was placed a very long time ago, and I've found some good drill hole and wings like I showed you early in the video. So I'm a bit confused as to why this one has disappeared, but not to worry. I'll see what I can find. I'll go put in a reference mark there, and then it's down into no man's land for the afternoon. Wish me luck. And again, placing another reference mark where it's going to be easy for the next surveyor, because the GI pipe at the corners over the edge of the cliff, and that's where I've got to go next. I've got to go down here along there and look for the drill hole and wing that I was trying to find earlier. Hopefully it's not too difficult. But yeah, placed a drill hole and wing here on the cliff, painted it yellow, and should be able to read it from up there near the road at a later time. Okay. The moment maybe everyone's been waiting for, but I don't think I've been waiting for it. And that is now going to make my way down to the bottom of the cliff. And I've been down here before. I tied a bit of ribbon in the bush so I could help find my way down here. But, I think it's over here. It's not easy to get down here. Yeah, I can see the ribbon. And someone's made this track. Someone made this track, thank goodness. Because otherwise, that was my problem last time I was here. I couldn't figure out how to get down here, but I've got my safety vest, I've got my GPS, I've got my backpack full of gear, plenty of water. Got my good Scarpa hiking boots on. And this is the fun bit. Squeeze through this gap. Make sure everything's on nice and tight so it doesn't fall off. Try and grab hold of any rock holds I can find to guide myself down. Excellent rocks. It's a fantastic cliff. Now we're almost at the bottom, which is great. Yeah, the awkward thing is I'm going to have to go back up that way. Oh. Okay. I'm at the bottom. Let's go find this GI pipe. Oh. And just getting around the edge of that cliff's hard enough. But check this out. I filmed this last time. Wow. And I also mentioned in a previous video that there was a bit of rock here that looked like a painted fish. It's disappeared now. But here's the lock spit here. The original lock spit. And according to the survey plan that I had, the reference mark was over here. In fact, it's here. So I'll give that another read, and then I'm going to stick a peg in here at the corner. Might be able to see I've painted this rock yellow, and just in here is the GI pipe, which I couldn't believe someone would be down here. I thought for sure, and I shouldn't think that, but I thought maybe they'd decided it was too hard and just not mark it and say it was marked. But sure enough, a tough old bastard of a surveyor back in the, I can't think of when it was now, 20s or 40s or something like that, put that mark in. So well done, and super stoked that I found it. But no one's ever going to come down here to measure this again, and that's why I put that drill hole and wing on top of the rock. I've got to head that way soon. I'm going to give this a measure. Okay, and now we've got the peg in. There's the GI pipe under the rock, peg, and the lock spits. Now I'm heading down here. My 360 to camera battery, probably just see here. It's run out of power. So I've got to film now with my phone. So enjoy the ride. Wow, check out these cliffs. I think I'm going to go down this way. It looks like there's been a track here. It's going to be a bit tricky to film this and walk and carry. I think this is the way to go, along the bottom of these cliffs. And I mean, there is a track here, so I can see how previous surveyors would have been able to get along here, but gee, check this out. How rugged. Okay, so I just staked out my corner of the block. Well, there are 2 blocks of land, but this corner here is going to become part of another block. And maybe I could show you on a copy of my plan here. So the GI pipe is where my finger is. I've just come to this point here, and my little subdivision boundary adjustment, it's not all that clear to see, but I've just come to here, original corner point number 69. Point 83 is actually going to be my new boundary, so you can see that there's the original corner. We're going to take a little bit of land here and give a little bit of land back at the front. But I've just staked out this, and look what I found. The old peg. And look where I am. No one would know that the original peg is still here, except for me. When I make a new sketch, I'm going to say peg found. You beauty. I'll give that a coat of paint. It's you can see it's been burnt. And I'll put a bit of ribbon on. Wow, how awesome. Okay, so there's a big gully there. Rocks going down here. I've just measured something. Now, the peg is just off the cliff here. It's inaccessible. I can't really place a peg there at the new corner. If you can't place the peg, you have to ensure that a reference mark is placed, and that's what I'll be doing. But I've already got the makings of a great reference mark, because just make sure I don't knock over this tripod. Look at the accuracy. I've turned the tilt off, but 26 by 11 under this massive tree. Check out what I found. And it's online. An old nail in a rock. I don't believe it. And I've just checked it out, and it's online. So I'll turn that into a reference mark. Nail and wing placed. And I'll be about half a metre or so to the corner. It's just a bit awkward down there to place it, so how awesome. And check out these trees. Well, I'll measure this for a few more times, and then I've got to go find this last reference mark, this dreaded bloody reference mark. I'm hoping it's there. I was up the top of the cliff early this morning, as you may have remembered, so fingers crossed. It sure does fall away down there. There's the nail and wings in rock, corner being down in there. Gee, almost done. Okay, well, I made it. I made it to the reference mark. Again, I wasn't really sure it'd be here, but it is. There's the wing, and the prism pole is inside the drill hole. Drill hole and wing in rock. The corner is just down there somewhere. Have a look for that. There's the cliffs, and I'd really love to be able to get back up there somewhere. It looks like a bit of a track, so I'm going to see if I can find my way back up, because I don't really like the idea of having to walk all the way through there again. If I can get back to the top, I can walk through to where I got my car parked, sort of on the flat. Got to cross a few properties, but better than going back down through there. So I think that's the end of the video, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. It's been one hell of an adventure today. And finding survey marks, thanks to this beauty of a machine, this Leica GS18. Wow, without it, I don't know where I'd be. And make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Feel free to ask any questions, and look forward to sharing the next experience with you. Thanks again. See you later. Bye.